Welcome to Whispers and Choco. This is how we do, and if you don't know, now you do. I'm Shawnee Whispers.
And I'm Mike Choco.
Together we are Mike and Sean in purebred loco. Oh no, we fucked that up. Okay.
Yeah.
And we might go loco.
And we might go loco.
And just in case you wonder what went wrong. Or just in case you wonder what took long. We'll say that we're sorry, and this show is going.
This show is going
Straight to hell.
straight to hell.
I like that one, yes.
Beautiful. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mike and Sean Show. It is Thursday, December 9th, and our returning guest and special co-host for the night, Mark Doherty.
What's up?
That's right, a man of many masks and hats. Woo. Thank you for coming in and stepping in for Sean. He has Ziv. It's almost Hiv, it's just Ziv. It's just underneath it.
No, thanks for having me back. I'm happy to be here, and always a pleasure and an honor to sit in this studio with you gents.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more quiet and tamer when he's not here. And you'll be able to get your thoughts out.
Well, he'll at least let me talk for a cry. I'll at least get to talk.
Both of us will get to talk.
For Christ's sakes.
Both of us will get to talk. He's like, I got a question for you, and so here's your answer.
That's true. No,
yeah.
he's great. Sean's
This
a boisterous,
is
funny
the
guy.
Mike and Sean Show. We know more than you, but even if we don't, now that we have Mark in here,
We definitely know more than you.
and we're going to say we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing? What's happening?
Doing okay? No, not much. Just chilling out. Getting ready for some football tonight. You up for it?
Yeah.
After this, go watch some football.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
That Thursday night special.
Yeah. I don't even know who's playing tonight. Who's playing tonight? How pathetic is that of me?
Yeah, well, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Nobody will hold it against you. It's not like anybody's going to call in and be like, yo, tell that guy to get off since he doesn't know who's playing in football.
know.
Where should they go watch football at?
Rebar?
Yeah.
Right around the corner?
They should watch football at Rebar.
There's
At
a
the
shout out to
Rebar.
Rebar. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
That's, so,
Are you going to ask me who I like for the Super Bowl?
in advance?
You already said it.
Yeah, he already said it. He was like,
It's Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl again.
no, it's not going to happen.
He's gonna run out of.
You
He's
see
gonna run
how,
out of fingers.
you see how, listen,
He's going to run out of fingers.
the,
You're right about
the
that.
Rams are doing phenomenal. I mean, they had a little bit of a speed bump, you know what I mean? But I think they're going to get right the track and get right in there. They got the weapons. They got the defense.
Well, it's interesting. It's so that you bring up the Rams. I just saw this on Instagram the other day. There's that new biopic about Kurt Warner. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks really good.
Well, yeah, his whole story is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like everywhere he went, they were like, you're okay, but
Yeah.
you're not great.
Yeah.
He came into the league. He was on practice squads. He was in the AFL, the arena football.
Yep.
He was in the European League.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure it out. He gets to the Rams, and they're like, there's no shot. He just disappointing. And then when they finally, something clicks and it goes over, he was bagging groceries. Another guy bagging groceries.
Crazy
And then-
story.
Yeah, so I can't wait to hear more about it. I wonder how much he had in it, like for the storytelling part.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Did they
How much
confer?
say that he had? Yeah,
Did they confer with him? I think he wrote a book about it too. And you know what's crazy? After the Rams, when he left, and he went to the Giants, and he was there in the Giants before Eli took over, and they weren't doing great, and they kind of sent him on his way, and to give Eli the chance to go, and he goes to the Cardinals, and if I think I'm not mistaken, but they were like in the Super Bowl or in the conference. So he had
a good run. He had a good run. Yeah, he had a good run with the
great
Cardinals. Yeah.
and even at that
Yes,
point,
absolutely.
So can't wait to see that. I look
Yeah.
forward to that one.
Yeah, me too.
Disappointed I didn't get cast as Kurt Warner.
And so.
Oh, that's right, because I'm not talented quarterback. So. Yeah, I got to be a little bit bigger, younger.
Well, younger for sure.
dark hair.
Although Tom Brady. Sorry.
I mean, anybody anybody at 50, no, anybody at 30 could play Tom Brady at 40. Tom Brady's 40 and he's playing 30.
Yeah, no,
He's still phenomenal.
He's stud.
I mean, I may not put him as one, which will be the debate for people. They call him the GOAT, and they call everything the GOAT now.
Yeah, that's
Everybody's
kind
the
of
GOAT.
that's kind of annoying.
Everything's the GOAT.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady is by far, and his demeanor and how nonchalant and how giving and how well-spoken he is makes him that way.
Yeah.
Because if he was a dick, right, they would be like, oh, fuck you, Tom Brady. You're not that good.
Yeah.
You're lucky. Now, while he was in New England, the whole debate was, is it Brady or Belichick? Brady or Belichick? Brady or Belichick? Brady goes off to the Bucs, and they're like, well, maybe it's a Brady.
Well, I still think it's a combination of both. I think Bill Belichick is a Parcells disciple, and Bill Belichick is a hell of a head coach. So I think a lot of it is his mastermind, but Tom Brady's athleticism obviously says a lot, does a lot. I mean, he went to the Bucs in his first year and brought home the ring.
Right,
I mean,
and
shit.
Bruce Arians is a phenomenal coach.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal. But to continue on this like cycle of success is amazing at any age. Like you guys in their 30s barely can keep this kind of success up there.
That kind of pace.
And the Super Bowl is kind of those, very rarely do you have repeat performers, winners. But if you look at other than Tom Brady, in the last we could go 10 years, but last 20 years, Eli Manning has 2.
Peyton has 2.
Peyton has 2. Roethlisberger has 3. I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
if we went back to the 70s, Terry Bradshaw had 4
Right.
in that decade, which was unheard of. I mean, that's going back a long ways. But no, you're right. To have repeat success like that is a very difficult thing to do at that high level. That high level,
just continually going back. And again, you have a win when they beat Seattle, when Seattle's second Super Bowl, which clearly was the mistake of, and I don't care how many times Pete Carroll can talk about it and say, no, passing was the right situation. That's a Seattle Super Bowl win. They hand the ball off. The beast mode goes in there. Lynch goes in, scores that touchdown. They win.
Yep.
The Atlanta game is crazy because Atlanta was up by like 27 points, and then you go into the second half and they lose the game.
Yeah.
That's poor control. That's the coach.
Like Atlanta's like jinxed.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
When I was over there, it's man, that rise up.
Yeah,
they are jinxed because they've had some serious star power over there and can never produce.
Like they get to the
Mike Vick.
very end and just choke up.
Yeah,
throw it in the trash.
I think it was because of those ugly uniforms with the red.
Could be
on the side. It could have been Deion Sanders. Like once he left, he was like, "You guys are never gonna have success again." I don't know what it is, and it's not the coach. Like Matty Ice.
He's stud.
But at some point he should have just. I know, like there's a loyalty thing.
We're gonna blame it on the dogs.
It's the dogs. It's the dogs. It's the dogs' fault. But like at some point, I think this game doesn't allow you to stay with one team forever anymore. All the teams, all the sports, they don't allow you to stay with one team forever. Like, because once your skills diminish a little bit, they're ready to jump ship on you.
It's true.
And the best thing for you as a veteran would be like go somewhere you could get a reduced role and play more. Athletes last longer. That's another thing to do.
That's true.
When you had a player who was 40, go baseball for example, where you can probably play a little bit longer.
Yep.
But the hand-eye coordination when you hit 40 changes, your vision changes, and there wasn't a lot of like goggles, special goggles, like so we get the 70s, 80s, right?
Yep.
So some guys that were lucky to have like 20 home runs at like 38 years old, you're like, wow, that was phenomenal. Now a guy who's 40, like he better hit 30.
Right.
So the other sports now it's hard to play basketball at 40. Everybody's just so much faster and stronger and more athletic. So that's not a sport.
Hockey too.
But hockey, you can if you maintain. Chris Chelios played till he was like 46, 47. So I mean, you can play long. Like you can skate. You can slow down the game a little bit. Yep. You're not going to play as a star, but baseball's the kind of sport where first and DH you could play forever.
Yeah, well, that's very true. It's interesting. I think about it, and you think about a guy like Brett Favre, right? Favre was drafted by the Falcons. Goofy.
Yeah, there's the curse. There's the curse.
Drafted by the Falcons. Played at Green Bay and obviously did well. In 2 Super Bowls, won 1. Went to the Jets, had that was a bottom out year, but then went to the Vikings in his 19th season and had his best statistical season. I think he was 40 or 41.
Yeah.
So it can happen, but
yeah, but it's the way that you take care of yourself now. Like players used to come into their spring trainings like out of shape, like baseball. You would come in out of shape. Spring training was to get in shape.
Hold on. Are baseball players ever in shape? Yeah, Let's be honest.
Now, like everybody's fucking sculpted. Before it would be like one guy on the team would show up and you'd be like, "How many steroids do you eat?"
Right.
There was a guy Jim Fregosi who was traded for Tom Seaver.
Yeah.
And Fregosi, they said the joke like when he got traded here, his appetite just for entertainment and eating and drinking in New York just kept expanding with his waistline, and he was like no longer could bend over to get that ground ball at third. So yeah, like there is a time when, but now like the nutritionists and all that stuff, and it's like, hey, you can eat this chicken parm,
Right.
but don't eat the pasta.
Right.
You know, wash it down with water, and then when you're done, wait and go have some wine.
Right.
Like it's so you space it differently than
Sure.
you did before. You didn't go, manic and crazy and just eat and drink everything, but that's what you did. Spring training was for you to get in shape.
Sure.
Football, same thing. It was like they had that extra exhibition game, and they were like, "Well, get rid of that. Like, let's get them out there because these guys are different kind of shape, but the ones that are in shape to play are ready to play."
Right.
Hockey, same thing. Like you have to be ready. You can't be a fat guy and fucking skate around out
Well,
there.
no. Nowadays, the hockey players now, the talent is so good. They're so fast and so skilled. You don't even need goons anymore.
No.
You don't.
No.
You don't need those guys anymore.
They're obsolete.
Enforcers, they're obsolete.
They're obsolete.
Because everyone on the team has to be so good to
Right.
keep up with the teams.
Going back from like the 70s to the 80s, the rinks were a little bit bigger. So they shortened it to kind of like close the game out. Because you look at those games, they were 2-1, 1-0,
Sure.
3-2. Now we get a 5 and a 6. It's faster, quicker, and they made it shorter.
Sure.
So it's, so like Ovechkin, who is phenomenal.
Tremendous.
He probably would still be the same guy even if they had the old, wider
Yep.
rinks, but he's ridiculous.
Yeah, he is.
And the celebration in sports on top of that, like you should be able to celebrate too. And so if you're in great shape and you hit home runs,
Yep.
celebrate.
Sure.
He had the hot stick, and that's why like really he had the hot stick where it was like every time he's gonna go like the stick is too hot to hold, and he would be like, and they would have to like pretend that they were like hosing it down to
Right,
cool
yeah.
it off.
Yeah.
But I mean so you can play longer and you're already in phenomenal shape and you're already at 100 miles an hour doing that. It's amazing. Hockey is never as a sport that I always wanted to play more, but never a sport I could even dream and be like, I was so good I could play pro. I couldn't play shit. Barely could fucking ice skate.
And so
I mean friggin' ice skate.
I consider myself a relatively good athlete.
Right.
I can barely stand on skates.
Yeah.
I am not a skater.
I can chip across and glide, but I won't.
And I blame that partly on the fact that I'm not a big winter sports guy. I can get down a mountain on skis, but I'm not a skier. I'm definitely not a skater. Was never into hockey, anything like that. But hockey's when you think about it, it's a really challenging sport. The hand-eye coordination that you have to have, the conditioning, everything. That's a really, really hard sport to master, I think. And when people are at that level that are really, really good at that NHL level, forget about the NHL.
Even the AHL, go
I'm telling
step down. Like it's great.
I worked with a guy at Boston Scientific in my previous life when I was in medical sales. Sean Kane, he went to Providence College. He was a friar. That guy was an amazing hockey player and wasn't close to the NHL. You know what I mean? But so that level, you're really an exceptional athlete.
Well, you played football in college.
I did.
Were you? What string were you?
And so so I was.
You got a scholarship?
I got an academic scholarship to go to college. So the college that I went to was.
So he's smart.
I don't know. I'm not that smart. And so the college I went to was they're called New England Small Schools. It's called the NESCAC, and so they're called the Little Ivies. They're not Harvard, Yale, Brown, but they're but I got a $20,000 academic scholarship to go to school, William Palm Barber scholarship, but athletics they couldn't give you money, and so Trinity, it was Division III football, and arguably now, I went back recently. They have probably the best Division III program in the country right now, really, really great. And so I got some run as a freshman in true varsity games, and then as a sophomore, because I was a defensive back, so they were pretty deep in the defensive backfield. And so I was like nickel dime back and special teams. The thing that messed up my football career, I definitely didn't have the college football career I had hoped, but I broke my ankle my sophomore spring in track and field. And I got two opinions. One opinion was sit on it. One opinion was get the surgery. I chose to sit on it. Trained all summer, and I couldn't. I basically couldn't run. So I had the surgery that fall. Missed first 3 games. Still lettered as a special teams guy. So I lettered 3 years at Trinity, sophomore, junior, and senior year. But I definitely didn't have the career I wanted to have. I felt that if I didn't break my ankle, I could have been a starting free safety junior and senior year. But when you show up junior year and you miss half the season, come senior year, they're gonna
It's a bigger hill to climb.
well, they're gonna take they're gonna put an investment in the younger guy that's gonna give them 2-3 years as opposed to this one guy's gonna come in for one season. So, but it was a blast. I met some of the best guys I've ever met in my life at Trinity, and it was fun to be part of a traveling squad. I traveled all over New England, up to Maine and all that stuff on the bus, and it was an awesome experience. Yeah.
So they say special teams is probably one of the most chaotic and wild things when it comes to football. Like there's a no holds barred, fingers chewing, biting, ball grabbing.
Well, it definitely it takes the most intestinal fortitude, I think, and I say that because it's like the Wild Wild West. It really is. Like you're on punt return or you're on kickoff or something like that, and like if you're on the kickoff team, which I was. There's actually a guy that's responsible for breaking the wedge that the receiving team is creating. So the receiving team, the person that's all the way back catches the ball, and then he gets 4 or 5 guys in front of him that are a wedge that are basically his lead blockers, and the wedge breaker is a guy who
is a psycho.
Doesn't care about his body and just dives into the wedge and tries to break it apart. And so special teams is a lot of that. It's a lot of Cowboy stuff, but it's an integral part of the game. My head coach, Don Miller, always used to talk about there's 3 aspects to football. There's offense, defense, and special teams. And I think he was right.
I went to, in high school, again, so I had this confidence problem, right? Even if I was good, I just had this showman complex. Like I would try to do good. I would do good, but I didn't think or feel that I did good. So I go out on the football team and I'm like, all right, I'm going to play baseball, basketball, and football. I'm going to do all 3.
Yep.
So I get there, they size me up, and I, looking back and then go back and forth, I was like, I should have been the kicker. I would have been very successful kicking and I was a good tackler. So anyway, they run a route. I was a receiver. It was like a small receiver, and I run the route and I come across the middle, and the dude hits me first play. Dude hits me head to chest. Caves in my chest. I go to the sideline. They're like, I could drop the ball. Next guy goes out there, and they're like, you good? You all right? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, taking really, really short breaths because I could feel my chest on my spine. Like that's how deep it was in. They caved my chest in, and I was like, I just walked to the back end, signed my name out, and left, and never went back to the tryout. It was like, if that's going to happen often, I'm probably not going to live from it. So, let me decide on that on my own. But that was it. That was on high school thing. I think it was intentional, but who knows? They knocked me out. So.
Well, it's funny. I loved football.
He should have been a professional flag football player.
I should have been the ref. I think I would have been really good at that. So
I loved football, but when I reflect back, man, I should have played something like a sport that you can play for a long time, like
baseball.
Tennis or tennis.
Tennis or golf.
Tennis is a great sport. You can play until you're 80. Like in football, you're done at 35.
When I was
for the most part.
When I was a teenager, one of my mother's closest friends recommended then to play golf. She goes, I'm just going to tell you. She goes, there's 10,000 guys that playing golf. She goes, the top 150 get paid. Not a lot at 150, but everybody on that list gets paid something.
Sure.
And I was like, I didn't think anything of it. Now I'm looking at it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
20 to 30, step into pros at 30. You could step in at 35. Like you could just play it your whole life and just decide you want to make the tournament. And you have 3 tournaments to make and you have to hit you have way under par. But she mentioned that when I was a teenager and I didn't even think anything of it.
My brother-in-law, my sister Pam's husband, Billy Britt, is a stud athlete. He's in the record books at URI. As a tight end.
University of Rhode Island,
sorry about that. And then he also had pro tryouts with the Patriots and the Steelers. He's a pro racquetball player.
Oh,
and,
nice.
He's done a lot of different things, but he's a scratch golfer, man. He's really that's a tough sport to master, boy. Ooh, golf is a tough sport to master.
There was, wide receiver for the Patriots, Chris Hogan?
Sure.
Okay. So Chris Hogan, at the job, my main job as a concierge, Chris Hogan had his boy who lived there, and he was telling me he was wearing Patriots gear. He was like, yeah, my boy's Chris Hogan. Get out of here. Chris Hogan walks in, and he looks, and he's a lacrosse.
At the Crescent.
Yeah, and he looks like an average white dude showing up, to go pick up a girl on a blind date. He just didn't fit in. He looked awkward. He didn't look like a ball player, and he's a professional. He was a lacrosse player before he because I think he was like a part-time football player, but he was a lacrosse player
In college. Okay.
And he just looked.
So wasn't Jim Brown, by the way.
Jim Brown was a lacrosse player.
Jim Brown was a lacrosse player and a football player in college.
Damn.
I believe at Syracuse.
You know, Mookie Betts is a professional bowler.
Well, there you go.
And he's like bowled over. You know, there was like 300 or something like that, like perfect.
Wow.
There's a couple. There's another. I can't think of it now, but there's another baseball player that was like part-time professional bowler.
Wow.
You don't really hear too much about professional bowlers, but if you ever get a chance, and across comes the professional bowling tournament, you gotta watch it. Because if you want to see old white guys celebrate in the most awkward way possible with the fist bump, that's the show right there.
So here's the thing I don't
There's
understand
no soul in that.
about professional bowlers. Why do some of them wear sunglasses inside?
Because they're so cool.
Mm.
It's so cool. It's well, wherever they're playing, they're cool. It's like pool players, right? Professional pool players are only cool when they're playing pool.
Right.
You wouldn't recognize a professional pool player out in the street unless it was Tom Cruise.
Right. So, I can hold on though. Hear me out. I can understand why, like a professional card player would wear sunglasses at the poker table because he doesn't want someone to read his eyes or something, right? But we have a professional bowler inside and there's no glaring sun, and why is he wearing sunglasses?
So the light hits those shiny bowling balls on a different angle, and it's blinding. So if you don't cover your eyes, all you're going to see is the flash of that bowling ball.
Thank you for explaining that to me, Michael.
I learned that just now. I just looked it up. That's what it says right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what's crazy? Today, it's this date in history. You like boxing?
Yeah, I love boxing.
All right. So, in 1681, the second Duke of Albemarle, Christopher Monk, is the first recorded boxing match. And do you know who fought that day? He put his butler up against his butcher.
Who won? The butler or the butcher? I got my money on the butcher.
I believe it was the butler because, you underestimate the butler, and he's the guy that after he beats you, he just cleans up, fixes his hair, and goes back in. But I didn't want to know who won because it was probably like, forever. Those back then, that was like square up fight.
Like it's like 100 rounds or something like that. Like it never ends.
It's like one eye is just falling out of his face, and you just keep going.
It never ends.
Yeah, so that's on this date in 1681.
That's the first boxing match
first
ever
recorded. Yeah, a butler versus a butcher.
How about that?
Who do you think would win in modern day butler versus butcher? I think modern day it would be the butler, because if you see these butlers are now like former, military.
Well, you might be right.
That's why he was looking to see, just in case his security fails, who protects the Duke. And the butler was like, I got you, man.
I got you, homie.
Yeah, he said. And
he said, homie? Did he say it like that?
Actually, it says, ye homie. Ye homie, I have you, sir. The Duke of Albany.
Yes, this is fine, sir. I have you protected in your kingdom.
Don't worry, sir. I will watch over your ass all day and all night.
And I'll wash your ass.
If need be, sir, I shall dig deep. 2 hands. I shall protect you. On this date also, to share a little, because as an actor.
Who's an actor?
You.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Actor, Manny, acting coach.
Sports coach.
Former
salesman.
Former
bartender.
Former bartender.
Porn director.
Porn director. Porn director. In New York, it's a little different. It's porn director. Take out the R, it's a W, it's porn director.
Laura Kaufman, come over, we'll have coffee, we'll talk.
We'll talk. It's wicked hot. Where you from? New Hampshire.
Not far, South Boston.
Oh my God. Do
you get your Boston accent at all? Like, because you haven't had it. Like,
well, so there's certain words that come out that he'll say, like, you say watch. Say watch. Watch. Say watch.
Watch.
You pull it in.
Chocolate.
Say movie
Chocolate.
theater.
Movie theater.
So you see, he gets his watch. He had the W in the watch.
So you have to understand. So I grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, right? So Rhode Island is the hybrid accent of Boston and New York. So in Boston, my name is Mark. In Rhode Island, it's Mark. In New York,
Mark.
It's Mark.
It's Mark. Hey, Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, it's like me with Sean.
Sheen.
Sheen.
He was like Sheen. He was like, yo, we're just going to say it's Sean.
He'd be sending me to hell right now.
20 times later, he was like, it's okay. You don't have to get it right. You don't have to. And he was like, Sheen. And he was like, all right, I'm going to get Sean. And then he did. He got it. He did.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
It's the watch in the car. So today, as for actors, we celebrated 2 birthdays. One, Dame Judi Dame Judi Dench is 87 years old.
God bless her.
She doesn't look a day over 80.
She's a wonderful actress.
Wonderful, amazing actress. And recently passed away, Kirk Douglas, would have been 104.
Oh.
He passed away in 2020 at 103. I mean, think of all the things that man has seen.
I would sign that contract right now. They guaranteed me 103 years. You know, it's funny that you say all the things that he's seen. I always talk about I've mentioned to you before my Italian grandfather, and my mom's dad lived till 106. Damn. And all the things that he saw. I mean, he saw Great Depression, World War I, World War II, Vietnam. I mean, look.
Korean War. Everything he's turned around, he's like, another fucking battle.
Listen, he was alive when blacks and whites couldn't use the same restroom, and he lived to see a black president. Think about that.
Yeah, that's got to be
amazing.
That's got to be the most amazing thing.
Amazing.
Right? Like he's probably sitting there. I was like, one of these days, I don't know, man. The way this country is, and all of a sudden he sees it, and like Obama comes out, and you're like, he's articulate, he's good looking, he's smooth in the way he delivers. Yep. He was probably sitting there going, all right, this is going to be the first one.
No, but it's amazing when you really someone lives that long and all the things. Well,
they said like even the phones, right? Forget about the way our modern phones now, but the progression of phones that he had seen, from the one on the wall that you're winding up and you go to an operator who's plugging in your phone. You know,
how'd that person get in your phone?
Yeah,
right.
Who's that?
That's
what,
right.
What do you mean they're in here? They're just waiting for me to talk to them?
Crazy.
Yeah, they're just sitting there.
It's crazy.
And then for like the push the button, the rotary, and then cordless. Like you could see him sitting right next to the wall, the cordless phone. You're like, Dad, you know, it's cordless. You can walk. I can walk. I can go to another room and still talk to the same person.
No, it's remarkable.
TVs again, like the technology. Like Douglas was 103 years old. Yeah. You know, like his first movie was probably a hand rotating, you know, like watch film like in a room or somewhere, you know. And then the cameras got bigger, and then they got smaller.
Yeah.
And then the technology got better. Like, you know, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, here I am telling you about the second Duke of Albury and his boxing match, and he died at 35. He doesn't even have any idea what happened to the fifth boxing match. So, which doesn't do anything. It's just nothing. It was just stupid. It was stupid. First one was that dirty. Yeah, so that's crazy, right? He would have, that's how close he was to 104. And I mean, how long do you really want to live? Like, well, you know, like, do you want to live? You don't want to die, right? But you want to live as long as you possibly can and have nothing interfere with you living.
Well, so I got into a conversation with my best friend about this today. Not that I have deep, morbid thoughts or conversations like this all the time, but we were talking about something, and I just said, you know, I pray all the time that I live till 100. I want God to give me 100 years so I can do what I need to do with the gifts that He's given me to complete my journey, help other people on their journey, make this world a better place, blah, blah, blah. But there comes a point where if you're not able to be a functioning part of society, you know, I'm in Central Park all the time because of the childcare stuff that I do, and seeing these people sit in wheelchairs with their personal care attendants not really able to do anything for themselves, I don't know if I'd want to live to 100 like that.
Well, there are exceptions to it, right? But the other thing about living that long, some people it doesn't require great finances to keep you there. Yep. You know, but it doesn't hurt, right?
Sure.
Like, you know, they could pump you full of drugs.
Sure.
And, you know, for example, like, you know, the last two presidents that we had are propped up on something. Then that's not natural. They're not at their age. There's nothing natural about going out there in your mid 70s and talking and traveling and getting up on 5 hours of sleep. You can't do it. There's nothing natural about that. So they're pumping them in steroids and, you know, what all like I think they get the whatever, like everything that you can do in a cocktail to like keep those guys up, including Biden, who's a one-trick pony, who has no idea where he is, wherever he is.
Right.
But still, the only way that guy's awake at almost 80 is because they're pumping him full of drugs.
Or they have 3 or 4 body doubles. Then they take
Yeah,
turns.
but you're like two. He buys 2 other stupid body doubles.
They get interviewed. They have to have a certain level of intellect.
Those 2, they're like, dude, this guy's a little
guy's way
bit
too
more
smart.
Yeah, get him out of here. Hey, he's got the perfect level of stupidity that we can match it. Hey, do you know where you are? Can you tell the difference between American Indians and Hindu Indians? No? Okay, perfect. Like you're the same person that we need right now. So. You know, like, I mean, but to live to a certain point healthy, like I've seen recently Artie Stenger.
How's he doing?
Just passed away.
You kidding me?
He is 93 years old.
How long ago did he pass away?
A month, 2 months, somewhere around there.
Did it happen in the building?
No. He went home to his sons in Connecticut from like 8 months now.
Okay. And he passed away peacefully at his son's house.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's another guy with like anybody that's in 90, right? And makes it to 93. Like really think that he was kept alive with the idea that the Mets were going to be in the World Series again.
Yeah.
And they were close. They really were. There was a lot of positivity in that. And they did really mess that one up. They were getting close. And I was like, wow, I was thinking to myself, like, they're going to make the playoffs. He's going to get to see him in the playoffs. It's going to be the last playoffs.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And he was 93 or 94 when he passed.
Was he still getting around okay in the city, in the building?
Like slowly walking around.
Did he have a walker or no?
Yeah. Those, the new
the push
walkers
ones.
with the click.
Yeah.
The sit.
Yeah.
And, so he had that. But then every once in a while, somebody would chip in and go get something for him. Like, don't go out by yourself. And if you're out there, let us know so somebody can come back and walk you in.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, which is different from other places.
How about Gabor in the building? Is Gabor still there?
Yeah. So what we're talking about is random tenants from a building so that Mark lived in and I worked at.
And that's how Mikey and I got to know each other. So we've known each other for a very long time, since 2004.
Yeah.
Long time.
And so he's still around, but he's frailer and frailer. You know? So we're on that morbid conversation.
Sorry, we'll get off that topic. I was just reliving something with Michael of
and that was that.
People of the past.
So another thing that I read, it's like sometimes you just find obscure things. A guy played the lotto with numbers that he pulled out of his dream, and he hit for $3 million. Just $3 million. Like, I was dreaming this. Let's see what happens, and he got $3 million out of it. $3.4 million to be exact. Like, it's very obscure. Like, when you read that, you're like, what? Like, do you remember? Like, I dream, and when I try to, some things you remember. Like, but then some things you just like, you try to hold on to it and you completely forget. They just vanish.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of the stuff in my dreams. I don't. Once in a while I do, but most of the time I don't. But my dreams are so visceral. They're so real when I'm having them. And then I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, what was that about? You know what I mean? They just kind of slip me.
I had a dream where, the most recent one that I remember, I had a dream where I was walking out of my house and something broke and there was plastic all over it. And there was a young girl, probably like a teenager, let's say 13, walking by, and I stopped to let her go, and she wouldn't go, and she kept angrily pointing at me to pick this up, and I was like, well, just go, kid, like, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
And so she got mad and threw something at me, so I kicked dirt at her, and then she walked up the block to get her father to come back.
How chivalrous of you, Michael.
I'm chivalrous. I just, at that moment, I kicked dirt on that kid because don't throw shit at me. And then she got her father to come over, and I was like, all right, like, invite him over. And when I turned to the front door of my house, then I woke up. I was like, my dream didn't want me to get into a fight with that father. I was gonna hurt him. I don't know what I was gonna, but that was like that. I remember I kicked dirt on this kid in my dream because she threw something at me. So kids, tell your kids out there, tell other kids out there, don't throw shit at me.
That's what we're saying right
Kick
now. Hold on.
Dirt.
That's what we're saying.
Ding. What?
Ring the bell.
Ring that bell. Anyway.
So there's some things that I want to talk to you about, Michael, on a professional level.
This is not a professional show.
Projects that are coming up in the new year in 2022.
Nice. I do want to know. I'm sorry, I'm with food in my mouth. I do want to know all about what's coming up next for you?
No, and not only me. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of this stuff is in your wheelhouse, considering your heritage and how the Italian mafia played such an integral role in the development of this country in the 1900s. Two projects that are coming to fruition. One is a 10-part miniseries for Paramount Plus that's based on the novel Hollywood Godfather, My Life in the Movies and the Mob by Gianni Russo.
I read that.
You read the book?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that. And so that's getting made into a 10-part miniseries. A lot of good stuff there for you and for me. Unofficially attached to the project. I haven't gotten the official role yet. But another thing that's popped up on my radar is, and this is a really awesome one, it's close to my heart, it's a TV show called Federal Hill out of Providence, Rhode Island.
Ah, nice. That's awesome.
And so Scott Kahn and Michael Correnti are attached, and it's the pilot's going to be filmed shortly. It's basically a period piece set in the early 60s about President Jack Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy and their pursuit of the New England crime family, which was spearheaded by Raymond Patriarca Sr. But it also incorporates Whitey Bulger and the Irish mobsters from Boston and all the Italian mobsters from New York, and how Mr. Patriarca was the go-between between Boston and New York. So it's going to be an interesting piece. I read the pilot. The pilot's very good, and it should get shot early 2022, and then they're hoping, I think they have 5 seasons written out so far, so something for you to keep your eyes open for,
Well, that's pretty cool.
because it'll be right up your alley, seeing as a fact that you're Irish and Italian like I am. What else did I want to say about that? Go
Well,
ahead.
I find it hard. It was like, I've been, since I signed with my talent agency, I've been auditioning for months now, and I'm not a big fan of, like, I don't like to watch my stuff. Like, I don't like to watch the videos of recording, but you have to. I just don't like to watch it.
Sure.
I don't like good auditions, and I always think to myself, like, and again, it's not, should never think that, like, why not me? Because you never know why. There's other reasons why. It's not just
a lot of factors that come into play.
But what's funny is after I send these submissions, they're always like, hey, how tall are you? And I'm like, and it's like the auditions are good, and I'm like, oh, 5'10", and then I don't hear back. And it's always the second one is, how tall are you?
And you know what? You're going to love this answer. You're probably too tall for the co-stars, because a lot of actors are short.
Well, the guy I auditioned for Law and Order, Organized Crime,
Oh, nice.
and it was like one of the opening scenes.
Like the teaser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the guy that they hired, the same one, the audition was younger, but he had like this thick, dark beard and this thick, dark hair, and it wasn't any better. I was like, I wasn't like comparing it, but it was just like, oh, like that's what I auditioned for.
Sure.
Okay, I wanted to see who it was that got it.
Sure.
So completely different looks.
And you just never know. There are things that are under an actor's control, and there are things that are out of an actor's control. I always say to actors when I coach them, control the controllables. Be prepared. Be on time for your appointments. Be courteous and polite to everyone in the audition room. But oftentimes you'll crush, as you know, because I consider myself a good auditioner, and I say that humbly. But I don't book. I book okay, but like I don't book as much as I want to.
Right.
And a lot of times I think that comes down to they want a guy with blonde hair. They want a guy. I'm too tall for the co-star. The blonde, all these different things. And
Yeah,
so
I think I think what I miss most and what was successful for me was the in-person, the personality, the conversation. Like, look, like my agency said to me, and they were like, listen, before COVID, it was like everybody was auditioning for a certain type of character
Sure.
and a certain type of look. After COVID, everybody's auditioning for the same thing. Whether you're 20 or 30, you're auditioning for that. You're 30 or 40, you're auditioning for that.
Yep.
50, 60, 40, like they're all mixing it up in the middle of it.
Sure.
And so I thought it was funny. I had this audition for a commercial. It was a Nathan's commercial, right? And she
You're
said,
perfect for that.
oh, no, wait, hold on. It gets better. It was like,
Well, I'm saying you love hot dogs.
oh, I love hot dogs. Whoever doesn't love hot dogs
I love hot dogs.
is not American.
That's true.
They're not American. Anyway, I auditioned for it, and I look at the paperwork, and I'm writing, and it's like a boomer with a dad bod. And I was like, boomer, it's a guy in his 60s. Dad bod. I was like, I don't have a dad bod. So I reached out to my agent and I was like, look, I was like, I'm not a boomer and I don't have a dad bod. So what do you want me to do? They're like, just go for it anyway. Just go for it anyway.
Sure.
So I put some glasses on at the end of my nose to kind of like, look down, like to be younger.
Older, you mean?
No, I mean, sorry, yeah, older.
Right.
But I just looked younger. It didn't do anything.
Sure.
I couldn't go from at 48, maybe looking 45 to looking like 65.
Sure.
It didn't work, so I didn't understand that. But most of the stuff they send me is usually for somebody gray hair in their 50s. I have gotten that a lot. Like, it's the ones that are like 30 to 40, it's like, they're like, oh, could you send us something else? And then they'll say, hey, how tall are you? After the audition.
Yeah.
The ones that, like, I outright rejected are like, because I guess when they're looking for a 50 to 60, like 55, and then they see me and they're like, you don't look like not even close to 55. And so again, like, it's frustrating. I don't take it to bed like frustrated, like, oh my God, one of these days, what am I doing? I usually am down on myself anyway because it took me so long to get here.
Sure.
That I'm like, well, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But then immediately as the paperwork comes in, I jump right into it. Yeah. Obviously before it, you're like, I'm gonna quit. I'm not gonna do this. I can't do it. They don't want me. Nobody wants me. And then they send you the paperwork and you're like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's do it right.
I just got into this heated debate with my manager, whom I love. I mean, Jocelyn Herman, I love her. I love her husband. I love her kids. They're family to me. I've been with them 14 years. But we got to this heated debate, and a healthy heated debate, and we were going back and forth, and she's like, I think your age range is 38 to 52. I said, Jocelyn, with high-def cameras, there's no way I can do 30s. There's no way I can do 30s anymore.
Right.
I'm not 30s, and I'm not 52 either. I'm 40s. 41 to 49. That's what I'm that age range.
38.
Well,
clean shaven, you could do 38.
Mikey, when I get on that
if I could do 38, you could do 38.
When I get in front of that high-def camera, and those wrinkles start to pop in, those wrinkles start to pop in, I don't look 38 anymore.
I don't have this.
In real life, maybe on stage 38, but in front of a camera, no. 40s. And so, but the reason why I say that to you is because a lot of times, most times, casting and production doesn't know what they want. And so they cast a long net and they say, okay, we think we want 52, but let's throw a guy who looks 38, 40 years old, 38, sorry about that.
It's okay.
38 to 40 years old, to see maybe if casting and production might be like, ooh, that's the guy we want, so.
The wound is still fresh.
Sorry about that. So I just grabbed Michael's fresh tattoo.
Yeah, I have a new tattoo on it, and he just grabbed it.
I didn't mean to do that.
It's a few days old. It hurts now.
I didn't mean that. Sorry about that, Mike.
It's okay. I'll get over it. I'll drink more. I understand that completely. But that's good that, like even just waiting for those two projects for you, that's got to be exciting because they sound like two really good projects.
Well, one of them still requires funding. So the Federal Hill TV show still requires $200,000 in funding, which I feel confident it will get done. As I mentioned, Scott Kahn's attached and other people are attached, so it should be good. The Hollywood Godfather thing, Mr. Russo got the whole thing funded by himself, so he has final word, and that's getting done, which that's very exciting. And something that I've never really done. You and I have talked about this. I do the whole cop, fireman a lot, priest, but doing like an Italian mobster might be something kind of different for me. So that's kind of exciting. And there's still that one thing waiting in the wings, that indie biopic out of my alma mater, Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, about it's the squash movie. The squash, meaning the racket
not
sport.
Like squash, the movie.
Yeah. But we'll see what's going to happen with that. They're kind of dragging their feet a little bit with that.
So what are the details? It's a squash movie. It's about the coach of Trinity.
Yeah. So have we talked about this on air? No, maybe I didn't mention this last time I talked to you and Sean.
No.
So several years back, I get a random phone call from a Hartford, Connecticut number, 860 number, and I didn't pick it up. If I don't recognize the number, I don't pick up. Goes to voicemail. I listen to it. Coach Paul Asciante, who's the head squash coach at Trinity College. And that might not sound like such a big deal, but let me explain to you. Trinity College has the number one squash program in the country. Mm-hmm. Division I, number one program in the country, maybe the world. Squash is a hybrid racket sport, a hybrid between tennis and racquetball. Played with like a flat ball, and almost like a badminton racket. In like
I'm glad he explained that because I'm like, I'm saying
you were
silently
thinking
to myself, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah. So squash it's a hybrid between tennis and racquetball. It's played in like a racquetball court with like with a flat ball and like a badminton racket. It's most Americans believe that it's a rich white man sport, and maybe it is in America. But if you go internationally, it's a very well-known international sport in a lot of poverty-stricken areas, India, China, Egypt, things of that, Pakistan, and so anyway, Coach Accent is the most winningest coach in collegiate history of any sport ever played in college. So I'll repeat that.
Okay.
He's the most winningest coach in collegiate history of any sport.
Of any sport.
Of any sport. He's got like 13 or 14 national titles, beating the likes of like Yale and UPenn and Harvard and all that stuff.
Because they were at the top of the squash game.
They were. The Ivy Leagues were. The way Coach Accent turned that around, I think it was about 1998, 1999, he started to internationally recruit. So he started to go to these third world countries and recruit these young players that were excellent squash players and bring them to Trinity.
That's bold. That's a bold move.
It was. It was. But it proved to be the right formula.
Right.
And so here's this guy. When I say the athletic level that he's on, like Bill Belichick texts Coach Accent and says, "Hey, can you come talk to my players?" Like he knows Arthur Ashe very well. He's a very well-known coach. So the little modern-day Greek tragedy twist to this is, here's a guy who does a great job coaching other people's kids, but his son was a strung-out heroin addict in Hartford, Connecticut for 20 years. And so it's this modern-day Greek tragedy of this guy. And really, the movie, the screenplay, I should say, it's based on the book Run to the Roar. And the screenplay is called Against the Wall. I read it when Coach Accent sent it to me. It's the best screenplay I've read in the last 15 and a half years. It's basically a film about a dad and his son with the backdrop of Trinity College and squash.
Of the accomplishments and going through that. But
and it is gritty and beautiful, and so.
So are you up for his role, the coach?
So that's what I'm lobbying.
Or the heroin son?
No. I'm too old for the heroin son. So the heroin son would be in his early 20s, and Coach Accent and I, considering the time frame of the film, he would have been about 48.
Because you'd have to do a lot of in-depth
48 at that time. So
character work to get it to be the heroin.
Oh
addict.
gosh, I don't know.
You have to do a lot of heroin to get that.
I mean, you might. But and so when I was first approached about the film, it was more of Coach Accent doesn't know a ton about making movies, and he would admit that to you. And so he kind of just approached me, I want you to read the screenplay, tell me what you think. And then once I read the screenplay, I said, I want to be a part of this. And so, I have a business background, as you and I have talked about, as a high level medical sales for 10 years.
Wait, hold on. High
level medical sales.
Clear. Go on.
For 10 years. And so I have a business background before I became an actor. Yes. And at that point, I thought to myself, well, I'm going to help raise money for the movie because they needed help raising money. So I had set up several conference calls. I had also thrown on a blazer and tie and sat down with the president of the Tennis and Racket Club of Manhattan over a breakfast meeting and pitched him about the movie right before the pandemic. But I was able to raise $250,000 for the film. That's
pretty significant.
And
it's a good number.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping at some point that I would get a co-executive producer credit on the film. I am lobbying to play the role of coach, although they have a different business model right now. The business model was to hire a big name to play coach. They were talking to John Cusack for a while. That fell through. Now I think they're talking to Ed Helms, but I don't know really where they are with that. Mm-hmm. The other business model that I've talked to the producer about, and one of the investors, who's a dear friend of mine from Trinity, is how about we do something like young foreign actors in the foreign marketplace that are trying to make their way in the American marketplace, bring them on, because all the kids that were part of the squash team.
Okay, yeah, they were all international.
Correct.
So bring them in.
And then we get someone like maybe a Regina King to play the president of the college, and then maybe a Timothy Chalamet to play the son, and then you let me play the coach. And, it's funny, the audacity of me to say, I should play the coach. Well, hear me out on this. From a publicity standpoint, I'm a Trinity grad.
Right.
I'm a Trinity athlete.
Right.
I'm a real-life coach.
Right.
And I'm a bang-up actor.
Right.
Ooh, did I just say that? I did just say that. And unapologetically, I just said that.
I think, did you say you have that tattooed on your chest? I'm a bang-up actor.
I do. How did you know that?
I seen your chest.
But and I say that, I do say it in a humble way, but at the same time, I say it in the sense of like I've earned my stripes. I've been in this, Mikey. I've been doing this now, officially 15 years in January, but unofficially 15 and a half years.
The half always is the difference.
Well, that makes a big difference. Oh God!
It's because like when you're 5, you could be 5.5. Going
Yes.
6, right? But when you're an actor, you're like it's 15.5. Please get it right.
Understand that.
Yeah. I started in May.
Hello. And so yeah, but that it's a beautiful piece. I hope to be considered for the role of coach.
No, nice. That's very good. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I even had an audition for like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer movies over TV, over everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way like as a character like you can break it down, build it back up, break it down again and keep building. And you can just keep doing that and change it. Whereas TV is so fast. It's like here's your character, get out there, say, go. That's it. Next, move on to the next one. It's so fast.
It is.
And theater, I mean, I have a small little, you have more theater work, obviously, in doing it longer. And I always thought, like, even if I wish theater paid more, because there's a lot of talented people that probably don't do that as much as they could have over the years to go into, like, movie, because theater is something, like, raw. It's the same thing like I started doing stand-up, right? And it's raw. Like, you don't get to wear a bulletproof vest. You don't have to have anything to protect you. It's just you. Whatever you're giving and getting out of it, like those are free shots.
You got big meatballs that could fit in a dump truck to do stand-up comedy. Look, and I'm going to break this down for everyone in the listening audience.
Well, I'd like to hear this.
The toughest jobs in entertainment, I'll give you the hierarchy, okay? Professional wrestling is number one. You have to be a physical specimen athlete, moving
with a high pain tolerance.
High pain tolerance, but you're also a live actor and improvising all the time. So, professional wrestler, number one. Number two is stand-up comic. You are up there alone by yourself. Nothing is saving you.
Bare naked.
Nothing is saving you. And then the next step would be like, a two-man show. I had done a two-man show in 2010. I don't know if you came to that, Mikey. I don't think you did. It was called Rounding Third. It was played by the name of by the author Richard Drescher, and it was about the odd couple, these two men that would never be friends other than the fact that they're both Little League coaches together.
Oh, I didn't see this one.
And it was me and another guy, Hank Offinger, dear friend, and we both produced it together. We put it up at the Producers Club for 3 nights. We sold out every night. But it was literally he and I up on stage for 2 hours with minimal props. Literally. And just up there and saving each other. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, personally, aside from quitting smoking. That was really hard. But I still dream about smoking cigarettes. I still dream about them.
Every time I watch a movie where all they do is smoke in it, I'm like, I know I'm going to the store.
When I was a smoker, my 2 favorite times of day, first time, moment I got up in the morning to have that first cup of coffee with that first cigarette, and the first drink at night with that cigarette.
Right.
Oh, glorious. Sorry to change the topic so quickly, but I just had...
It was like daydreaming of nicotine at that moment.
Gosh.
Because I thought it was funny, like when every movie you watch from pre-80s, right?
Yeah.
Had at least 1, 2, or 3 people smoking. Now I'm sure product placement. I'm sure there's a whole big deal. Like, all these companies that like, why else would you have the character doing that? But then you go if you go further back, you go the 50s. Everybody, they smoked. They didn't need product placement. They had their own cigarettes.
That's right.
Like everybody smoked in that. When you watch The Hustler, like Jackie Gleason and Newman. No, I don't think Newman smoked in that one. No,
not in the movie.
Not in the movie.
Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason did, but Newman did smoke. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he, so like every time you watch an old movie, like that when that movie's done, you're like, wow, I'm gonna go to the store and start smoking again.
So think about that scene in True Romance. Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper.
When he's tied up?
Well, no, he's tied up, and, Dennis Hopper realizes, like, he said, can I have one of those Chesterfields? And when he first lights up that Chesterfield, you can hear him smoking that.
When he pulls it in, the flame, they record the flame.
Yes.
And
what a glorious moment.
because he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah,
next.
exactly. He's going to die.
Yeah.
He's gonna die. But
I would think that, like, I would say that, yeah, if I knew that I had no shot to get out of that chair, it was tied up, and I'm not gonna live, I would say just get me a cigarette.
Absolutely.
Just get me a cigarette. Like, I'm gonna smoke that whole thing, and then you can do whatever you gotta do.
So I saw something really cool on Instagram the other day. It was a picture of an old man in a nursing home drinking a beer, and he was on his he was on his deathbed. He was about to die, and so his grandson had gone in to visit him, and he says, "Pop, is there anything you want me to bring you?" And he said, "I'd love to have this kind of whatever the beer was. I haven't had this beer. I'd love to have this beer." And so his grandson snuck the beer into the nursing home, and his grandfather's drinking the beer by the window. And the grandson says, he took a picture of his grandfather drinking the beer, and he says, "I like to call this one more for the road." I just thought that was kind of fucking cool. Sorry.
That's all right. I mean, it's okay. If you do it, people will be mad. If I do it, they'll be like, "Well, that's just Mike. That's what he does. That's what he does."
And so now I think it's the point of the show where I do a song, right? Don't I sing a song?
This is the song. This is the Christmas song. This is Mark's second Christmas song. It's called
I'm a Creep.
What I'm a Creep and What I Wouldn't Do for Santa.
But I'm a creep.
Yes, because we just heard a really great mix by Mike the engineer, our producer and the owner of this fine establishment of Mix Vibes Radio, who played a version of Creep. And in the background, Mark heard the song I'm a Creep, and you were like, it took you back somewhere. You jumped somewhere.
Took me back to the early 90s. Early 90s grunge music, Radiohead.
Right, you jumped out of there, and you were like, oh, it was just a whole new world for you. So, there we go. So, all right. I want to tell you something interesting.
You love me?
That's not interesting. That's heartfelt. This is not a heartfelt moment. It's an interesting moment. You smoke pot?
I do not.
CBD?
I do not.
CBD is good for you.
It is,
right?
No, for sure.
It's 100%.
Like, yeah, no. I'm trying to turn my brother John onto it. My brother John suffers from Parkinson's.
Oh my God, it would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to get him to.
So some scientists in Massachusetts have created a 850-pound brownie, pot brownie, fully THC pot brownie, 850-pound brownie.
Dang.
I don't know. I don't know what it takes to put not just the brownie mix for the 850-pound, but how much weed that they pull out of all the dispensaries and any dealer to fill an 850-pound pot brownie. When they start to cut that thing open, I want to be there for that. One good chunk in my hand, hallucinating for days.
Do you smoke?
No.
Pot?
No.
And so here's the thing.
No, I'll tell you what. Every once in a while, I do, and this is what I learned from when I was younger through my anxiety and stuff like that. And I wish I would have smoked more, not just for getting high, but it regulated my stomach. It regulated my nerves. It calmed me down, and whatever I was stressed out and feeling sad or depressed, and I mean even times feeling like almost suicidal, like not physically do something, but you feel like the world would be better off without you.
Sure.
Because I've always battled depression my whole life, but when I had anxiety,
I would never have thought that of you.
Well.
Ever.
Yeah, I did. I still, it comes and goes. It's there. There's a sadness that comes over because it's a battle of self-worth. Depression is a battle of self-worth. There's a difference between depression and being depressed. You're depressed, things aren't going great, shit happens, right? And some people associate that with depression. And it's not. It's a battle. It's a battle. It's a constant battle. You battle it as a teenager in your 20s and 30s and 40s. You'll battle it in your 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Sure.
Medication isn't always the cure. But the biggest doctors, psychotherapists, psychologists love to prescribe people medication. But usually what happens is it wears thin, it doesn't have the same effect, and then you got to jump to something else. And so the chemical imbalance that you already have is now even more chemical imbalance by jumping around in that. But the anxiety that I felt, and it's the fears, because I will say this. Many, many moons ago, the very, very first audition I went on was a sketch comedy set. And so for 4 weeks, I prepared all these characters, which now they're like, well, that's pretty racist, or that would be like, you can't do the Indian accent, you can't do the Asian, and I had I had the Indian accent. I had the over-the-top Spanish accent, the over-the-top Italian grandmother, over-the-top Irish grandmother. And then I did this skit where I had Christian Slater as Robin, that stop and go, Jack Nicholson-like kind of thing. And I was like, well, Batman. And the whole key to that was by the time he actually got the words out of his mouth, they would be dead because it would, instead of, the Robin that we're used to was like, Jolly geez, Batman,
Right.
Joker's around the corner. And so I did this whole thing, but I get to the audition room and I'm outside in the front and I'm on the line and I get scared. Anxiety kicks in, fear. I felt like I was going to go to the bathroom in my pants. I felt like I was going to shit my pants. And I went outside to smoke and I just kept walking away. Now, fast forward, the joke is, if I felt like I was going to shit my pants, I should have let it happen. After that, what's the worst thing can happen? I don't have any underwear on anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and it was like 10 degrees below zero outside. It was freezing. Like those elements, when you look back, you're like, oh, I freeze my balls off, literally. But I did that. And I didn't do that. So...
you shared that story with me once before, and you were very brave to share that story with me,
Yeah.
and you're brave to do it on air now. Look, fear is always around.
Yes, but what I learned from that, or learned more from that in the stuff now, is what fear was what got me to do it. For some reason, that fear was preventing me from it. So I thought, from the lesson that was taught, like there are people that do and people that don't. But then you find out after you dig in depth to other people's stories, everybody was afraid. Every fucking person was afraid, man. There's fear there, and they kept it inside, and they did what they had to do on the outside, and they jumped inside, and they were like, oh my God, or they ran to the bathroom, and they smoked a cigarette, or they smoked some weed, or had a drink, whatever it was. So then I understood that after it later, and I was like, wow, like that's very easy. It's the easiest thing to do.
Mike Tyson, Kid Dynamite, right? The baddest man on the planet.
Baddest. I would say that he's my favorite that I got to see.
Said that the fear that he felt before his first fight was the same fear he felt before his last fight. That shit never goes away.
Yeah.
Man.
No.
Look,
it never does.
And being, whether you're an MMA guy or a boxer, athlete, whatever, or an actor, musician, all these different things, it's a hard thing to do, man. Like, oh gosh,
It's entertainment. Like, it's hard to do that. Like that physical. You have to strip bare. You have to be someone else. You have to be impressive. They have to like you. All the same, like, you're a comedian. You have to make people fucking laugh. Like, you have to make people laugh. If people don't laugh, you're not a comedian.
or maybe they're a bad audience.
Yeah, it's their fault. It's your fault. You show up. You paid for it. It's your fault.
That's
guys.
right.
I believe that. Now I changed my tune. I don't know what the first tune was, but the second tune is going to be it's your fault.
You were a bad audience. Laugh at his jokes.
Yeah, funny about that. So sometimes you do these open mics and there's just other comics there.
Yeah. Ooh, this is
And
nice.
these other comics, they go out of their way. Like the ones that like you, they'll clap. The ones that either over judging you won't clap. Like they just don't want you. Somebody said that they're looking at your jokes to think of how they could do how they could do that better.
Sure.
Because they don't think that yours is good. They think they can do it better. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good joke. I can do it better. So I have these like jokes about like race jokes, like because growing up with a lot of like Latino friends,
Yep.
brown, and I did a couple of them. And when people laughed in these certain rooms, and on the Producers Club, they do Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday comedy night.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's where I went a couple of shows.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so they do Wednesday. They do some open mics, and they have some selected groups. And then some people produce their own shows. They have a Saturday show that they do there now. And
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, so you go and I'm doing the show, and there was like a couple of white comics that they're staring right at me, and they're just not laughing. But everyone else, like you hear a little laughter, and like you go on, it was a joke. And I was like, I wonder why they're not laughing. Anyway, I go in there, and the first time in the Producers Club comedy, I do a joke, right? And I was like, it's 10 years from my last show, my last one-man show. And the first time I did with Lawrence's class, we did, but it wasn't a one-man show. It was like, you did your monologue, then out, and then your scene play. Now, the scene play, I forgot a line here and there and recovered and went out. And the second day, I forgot a bigger line, walked around, felt scared, thought I was gonna quit. I was gonna tell them to cut the lights off. Jumped back in, recovered, finished it, just to finish it. Got as much as I could, whatever. So I tell it, I was like, I had this one-man show. It was called Give a Fuck, right? And I was like, oh, scene 1, why do I give a fuck? Scene 2 was like I give a fuck, you know, and it was like going on with that, and I was like doing that, and it was like it felt normal to be there when I did that. The first the open mics in the Lower East Side that I did were okay, but it felt normal and felt comfortable to be in there with these people that were judging you and laughing.
Sure.
That felt comfortable. So I was like, I don't know when it was that I felt like should be doing it, but I knew I should be doing something, or at least try to do it. And that was it.
Good for you.
That was it. I mean,
look, I always look at this in a certain way. When I do, Mikey had referred to me doing acting coaching things, and I give didactic lectures sometimes in front of a lot of people and stuff like that. You know, I always say to the people that are in the audience, like, that seat that you're sitting in that audience is a really comfortable seat, isn't it? Come up here and sit on the hot seat. You think this is so easy? Come up here and sit on the hot seat. You know, Phyllis Diller, an old performer, old, from back in the day, always used to say to critics, if it's so easy, you get up here and do it.
Why are you not doing it?
You get up here and do it. If this is so easy, if you're going to sit there and be a critic, you come up here and do it. And so that's why I give so much credit to anyone that is willing to get up in front of a group, even if you're a public speaker or anything like that, public musician, rapper, spoken word artist, actor, comedian. That's a really hard thing to do. And you know, my acting coach would always say this to me, Peter Rattray, when you show up on set, when you show up on stage, rehearsal, everyone's nervous. The sound guy's nervous, the lighting guy's nervous, everyone's nervous, man.
They're worried about doing their job, and a lot of these people, it's their first time on those sets.
That's it.
It's like, listen to the, what was it, the Christian Bale rant? You chose now to walk across? Don't you do that. Don't you do that when I'm preparing. And then use a long list. Now, whoever recorded is also an asshole for doing that.
Absolutely.
You know, but it was like that made him very normal. But also like, oh, what an asshole. He yelled at people. It's like, yeah, but when you're there, you understand it more than the people that are on the outside hearing it think is an actor in his outrage. You know?
People don't get it. Civilians don't get it. People that aren't in the business. And what do I mean by that? My brother Paul breaks my stones all the time. Oh, acting's easy. Acting's easy. And I always say to him, Paul, when I produce my first project, I'm going to give you a small little role, and we're going to mic you up, and we're going to see how easy it is to get up in front of all those cameramen and all those sound people and all those lighting people and deliver your lines.
So
say it all the time. It's not an easy thing. Look, it's not heart surgery. I'm not saying that.
No, but it's, you know, like I work overnight, right? And when I work overnight, if I have lines, I just, for a couple of hours, I just walk back and forth, pacing and practicing different, make sure I memorize it, and then the different. So one of the guys who knows that I'm an actor and saw me practicing, he came up to me and he was talking about wanting to be an actor. And I was like, look, I can recommend classes. One of the best teachers I've ever had was recommended to me because of you, you know, Mark. And he said, no.
Lawrence, you mean? Yeah, Lawrence.
Yeah. And I was like, and then I went to the Actors Connection, and I had this really cool teacher, Pete Jensen, awesome guy. And he should be teaching at a higher level in a bigger place. I don't know if he's still teaching at the Actors Connection, but he should be teaching in a bigger school. Sure. Like he really had, like, he was not. But there was like one time he yelled at me, and it was all my fault. But he was like, you're going to yell at you because it's my show. I'm the teacher, so you got yelled at. Get over it. And I was like, oh, I didn't take it personally, right? But anyway, the guy was like, no, I don't know classes. I feel like if I knew where the audition was, I could show up and I'd get the role. I was like, really? Like, you think you're one of those select people that's just going to show up and is going to be and he was 100% that he felt that way. That he would show up and he would get it. They were going to tell him what the lines were and he would get it and he was going to be fabulous. And I was like, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Nobody goes in there thinking they're going to be fabulous.
No.
Nobody goes, oh my God, I got this role. I'm going to be fabulous. It's not how it is. It's not how it's going to go. But I was like, sure. I said, I'll tell you when there's an audition, open audition. You go down there and you do that. You're not going to be fabulous. Don't worry about it.
No.
But, and as for stand-up, right now, and like, they'll tell you anywhere from here to Chicago, which is, Second City Comedy is like the A+. Austin and LA, Austin, Texas, there are more comics or more people trying to be comics now than ever before. And you go into these places, instead of it being 5 or 10 people, it's like 15 and 20. And everybody who typed up a couple of funny jokes on social media and were like, oh my God, you're so funny, you should be a comedian, took that stuff and was like, I'm going to be a comedian. I like, some of it's funny, some of it's just like real life stuff, and that's funny. Like if somebody was telling you a joke about, we didn't have a refrigerator, couldn't afford it, like all I wanted was a refrigerator, you laugh if you've ever been poor enough to not have something.
Sure.
Anything. If it's not the refrigerator,
sure,
it's something. The debate about like poverty, I was like, it was like, I was poor, we didn't have a lot, we had a derelict landlord who didn't like to pump the heat out because they were cheap. Like he didn't want to pay for it. There was a lot of bad. I go, but I had I had roaches, but I had the kind of roaches that weren't scared of you. Like when the lights came on, they were like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna crush me? I just made 1,000 more. Come get some." You're like, 1,000 more popped out. I was like, you got to do it every time you turn those lights on in the middle of the night. Those roaches came out. So if you know anything about New York City roaches, they're worse than New York City rats.
And pigeons.
And pigeons together. Those pigeons and rats are afraid of the roaches. You get the roaches from like Upper East, the Bronx, forget it, man. Those roaches are strapped. They come in hard.
I remember the restaurant's out of business, so I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, and I would never mention the name of it, but I was at a Lower East Side restaurant. I used to love to go there. They had great drinks and great margaritas. And I go into the bathroom once. This is a typical New York City story, man. I go into the bathroom, and it was like a regular traditional toilet. It wasn't like a men's urinal. It was a traditional toilet. And I put the seat up, and I'm going to the bathroom, and a cockroach falls from the ceiling into the toilet. And all I could think about was, imagine if a woman was sitting on that toilet going to the bathroom and that thing fell on her head.
She would have froze. She'd been like, oh my God, 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 oh my God.
She would have run out of that bathroom and screamed bloody murder, no?
But you know what's funny? That roach was just diving. He was waiting for somebody to flip the seat so he could dive in the water. He made a bet with his other roaches. He goes, I can bet you I can swim to the bottom and come back.
Man.
They were like, bet. Wait till that seat opens up. Mark opened up the seat. That roach did the diver. He got a 10. Bing, bing.
Crazy.
Do it all over again. Yeah, New York City roaches don't play, man. It's funny, though, when you turn the light, when you do have roaches and you turn the light on, the way that they scatter, it's like they're all blind and they don't know where anything is and they crash into each other and they're running around looking for cracks and you're like chasing after them with shit to like crush them so they get them before they get to the cracks. They're like, you can't bring that food back.
So is it an urban legend or is it true that when you crush a cockroach, it gives off a certain pheromone, a certain scent that attracts other cockroaches? I'm not making that up. I once heard that.
Oh, what I know behind it is they breed thousands over. Like they drop like 50 plus eggs each time.
They get crushed.
Yeah, so like whatever, like let's say it's a female and you don't know the difference. No, but nobody ever picked up a roach and was like, oh, this is a male roach. Look at that penis. Like, like, oh, she's pregnant. No, like.
Well, then also they could be non-binary. Cockroaches could be like, well, I feel like a female today, or I feel like, so.
The cockroach pronoun is roach.
Oh, shut up. I had a Dave Chappelle moment.
The alphabet mafia is coming for you. Well, because, it's
He,
funny.
him.
He, him. I was like, hey, Ham. Like, I had a joke, right? And I was like, say it again. And it was funny when there was this guy in the crowd who, like, was just crossing his arms and staring at me. And I was like, we don't talk about as much in the LGBTQ community anymore. Hermaphrodites. We don't discuss them anymore. Like, we don't talk about them. They're special. They're unique. We used to talk about them and include them in everything. Now we don't include them. I mean, they're so special. They're the only person, if you tell them to go fuck themselves,
they can.
Boom. This guy was like arm crossed, like he was 2 seconds away from, genie zapping me out of there. I was like, it was good. Nobody else got it.
So can I hopefully you guys will let me do this. So I
Tell a joke?
So I work with kids a lot, and so I hear a lot of these like dumb dad jokes. The kids tell me the jokes, they get the biggest kick out of them, and some of them are kind of funny and clever. Can I? Is it okay if I drop a couple on you?
Yeah, we're gonna have a old man joke moment.
So I am an old man. I just turned 49 November 17th. You can send presents to P.O. Box 395, New York 10002, LES. So the first joke is as such.
Oh, I thought that was the joke.
Why did the Scarecrow win the Nobel Prize?
Why did the Scarecrow win the Nobel Prize?
Because he was out standing in his field. Why did the mushroom go to the party?
Why did the mushroom go to the party?
Because he was a fungi. Last one. Here we go.
Okay.
Why do seagulls fly over the sea?
Why do seagulls fly over the sea?
Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be gone. Mark's going to be sitting here just thinking about new jokes. So recently I heard a joke, and it was a pretty good one. So it was a Christmas joke, okay? So these three guys die at the same time, and they go up to heaven to see St. Peter. So St. Peter opens the gate, and he says, all right. He goes, I'll grant each of you to come in if you each can find something on you that represents Christmas.
Okay.
I'll bring you into heaven. So the first guy digs through his pockets, and he pulls out a lighter, and he flicks it. Flame comes on. He goes, candles. Flame, candles. St. Peter goes, all right. You're on your way to heaven.
Flame candles.
Yeah. Second one, he's looking through his pockets. And he pulls out a keychain. It's like 6 or 7 keys, and he jingles it. He's jingle bells, like jingle keys. And he goes, all right, yeah, that's good. You're on your way to heaven.
Jingle keys.
Jingle keys. Third guy comes out, and he's searching, and he pulls out women's underwear. And St. Peter goes, I don't understand this. What does that have to do with Christmas? And he went, they're carols. Christmas carol. Carol. They're Carol's underwear. Christmas carol.
See, I thought you were going to say he pulls out his balls. He got jingle balls.
No, we already had a jingle. So here it is. It's Carol's panties. You get it? Carols, Christmas carols.
Christmas carols.
Yeah, this is Christmas carols. Carol's Christmas.
Michael, I will say that your joke was far more clever than mine.
Well, I got this from a 70-year-old man. You got it from a 7-year-old kid.
That's not even 7, 5.
5. Big difference there. Big difference. Well, there was one joke that was recently told, and it was requested.
Nice work.
They got requested. It was like stupid jokes. Let's have a stupid joke moment. So a penguin walks into the bar, and he looks at the bartender. The bartender says, "How can I help you?" And he goes, "Hey, have you seen my brother?" And the bartender says, "What does he look like?" He was a penguin. What the fuck else would he look like?
So I have a similar joke to that, Michael, and I'll just share this with you, and then we should probably end these jokes.
Oh, no. They get better. They get better.
Horse walks into a bar. Bartender looks at the horse. He says, "Hey, why the long face?" You know, sad face, long.
I got it. He's a horse. He's got a long face.
Listen, audience, you are welcome.
Woo!
You are welcome.
Woo! That was high end right there. That was like better than Sweaty Balls.
I think I'm going to retire as an actor and go into stand-up comedy now. After that little what do you think?
Your niche could be dad jokes.
Dumb dad jokes.
Dumb dad jokes.
No.
You'd be like, dumb dad jokes, and I'm not a dad.
And I'm not a dad. That's the irony of it.
That's the irony
beauty of it. I'm not an actual dad. I just do child care because I can make children laugh.
Right. And as a 49-year-old man, when they see you and you go, I'm not a dad and I do child care, then it gets creepy and you do dad jokes.
That's very true.
You just roll them out. You're like, then they're like, should we report him?
This guy should be on a list.
Do we applaud or
This
report
guy should be on a
him?
list.
Where is it that you work? I'd love to see your job. Where are you? Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how they get you. That's how they'll find you. Oh my God.
I will tell you, doing childcare though, as a survival hustle, brings me great joy to make kids laugh. I get to try out my material, but
yeah, I couldn't try my material out on childcare.
Well, when I say my material, I don't really consider myself a funny guy. My family members do, but I think they're laughing at me, not with me.
Yeah, I can just be honest. They're laughing at you.
I'm not a funny guy, but like I'll try different voices on the kids and stupid stuff like that.
I think
and they love that.
of the few family members that you have that I met.
Yeah,
and you have a lot. He's got a big ass family.
8.
5
sisters and 3 brothers.
Not counting all his nieces and nephews and all that stuff. But of the
my parents didn't own a TV. Okay, so you can blame it on that.
Yeah, well, that's
those damn Catholics.
Like. It's the Irish.
Those damn Catholics.
The Irish and your dad was like, no, hold on, dear. I got another one.
What are you thinking of? Now you're thinking. Now you're thinking.
She's like, oh no. I got another one in me. Your sister Claudia seemed like she had the biggest personality.
She does.
I think I met Pam and I met 1 or 2 of your brothers, but Claudia always seemed like she had the biggest personality. Which is funny because they also referred to, because you guys look so similar, the youngest too.
Yeah.
You look so similar. She's Mark with tits.
Yeah, no, we look a lot alike. Claudia and I look a lot alike. Yeah, we do. Poor kid looks like me.
Poor kid.
Poor kid.
You guys all look like each other.
Yeah, we do.
You like, if I could, what did I say? I was telling you that joke. I was like, if I grew up around you, I was like with like friends, I couldn't date. Like if I met one of your sisters and they're like, oh, bring me home, like you're gonna meet my family, and I saw the rest of you guys, I'm like, yo, you all look alike. There's no way.
Well, it's like if you dated my sister, it's like, oh, it's Mark and a dress.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's like Mark with tits.
It's true.
They all look so similar.
That's true.
That couldn't.
So funny.
That was like, I wonder, like after those solid relationships, the marriage and all that, like when they come back home, or like dating, like and they come and they meet everybody and they're like, oh my God, you guys look alike. But they're probably trying to block it out.
Well, so I want to speak to this. So I dated a girl. She was Brazilian and Cuban, a beautiful, beautiful woman. And we had fun together, but I couldn't continue dating her. Want to know why? She had the same name as my mom. How can I date a woman who has the same name as my mom?
Nope.
You can't
Never
do
happened.
it.
Never.
But I am telling this woman, she was a gorgeous, 40 years old, gorgeous woman. Face, body, intelligent, personality. But like, how am I going to have sex with a woman with the same name as my mom?
Nope. It's even worse if she's like you have the same name as her dad. When you're like, who's your daddy? She's like, well, it's technically it's this guy. But I mean, if you want, like, you could sort of be him.
So Michael, I'm going to bring this up because one time, this is in the fall of 2012, you came to the Abington Theater with your wife, and you came to see me in a play called March Madness. And Doherty Kemsley was there with her husband, PK Kemsley.
See, that's another story, by the way.
And
Doherty,
Scott Rothenberg was there with his girlfriend at the time, Allie. And so whatever. So it was a brilliant piece of work.
That was a really good show.
I
was like surprised that it was just so short in that little fucking place. Excuse me, but it was a really good show.
Well, thank you for saying that. We got a great review by the New York Times and blah blah blah. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because there's some newsworthy stuff that's come up about Doherty and PK. Have you heard about this?
Yes. So I don't. Oh, man. So here's how it goes, right? I don't watch The Real Housewives.
Nor do I.
Right?
Nor do I. And by the way, just FYI, Doherty Kemsley's been a dear friend of mine for 27 years.
And she's on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I was at her and her husband's wedding. I just did a podcast with her brother David at Powerhouse Real Estate last week. And so anyway,
so I'll tell you something interesting. Just like a little backstory and then jump right into that. So if any one of these Sundays that I was home and my wife is watching The Real Housewives.
Did she watch it?
Yes, but I'll get to it. So I would sit down. I would be drinking, and she would stop to try to tell me about the. I'm like, no. It's a soap opera. I don't need to know how it starts, who knows who, how they did, blah, blah, blah. So one day I was home, and I was like in the bedroom, just kind of laying there, and she came in, and she was like, "Look, I want you to watch something. Just don't prejudge it. Just I need you to watch it. It was a Housewives episode, and I was like, okay. And she was like, she knows. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I need a few drinks to watch that stuff.
Sure.
I can't watch that sober.
Sure.
So I have a few drinks. She presses play. Real House of Beverly Hills come on, and there's Doherty, and I go, huh. And I'm starting to watch it, 3 episodes in a row, a bottle of wine deep, and I was like, without, there's no critique or anything like that. I was like, oh, I know who that is, blah, 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 fast forward all this time, on the show, like you hear when critics get thick on their opinions of Real Housewives, of all these shows, like you could get kicked off if the fans don't like you.
Sure.
So they started to grow thin on her and PK. They really like, the show, like I looked it up just to check it out because I know her, and I was like, not well, she doesn't know me, but critique it, like just to look, and I was like, oh shit, like they're really like bashing her. And then you find out that video footage of that home break-in is crazy. Did you see it?
No.
Do you know this one?
No. What home break-in? The one that happened recently?
Yeah, to her.
That's the reason why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, but that's what I'm. Okay, so
Well, I didn't know they had footage.
Oh yeah, it's footage. Like she's like telling, like you could take whatever you want, take everything, pointed out, like just stay away from my kids, touch my kid. Like so, people just before that, and then people thought it was staged because they basically were like, everybody was like just shitting all over her. They didn't want her on the show anymore.
Sure.
So I mean, so it's heart wrenching. I mean, and that's crazy.
So this woman, who's a dear friend of mine, she's a reality TV star, and her and her husband and 2 kids were in London. He's British. He stayed back to spend some time with his family, and Doherty came home with the kids to their LA home. She put the kids down. She went to bed, didn't put the alarm on in the house, woke up to 3 gunmen, guns pointed at her in her bed, and she was basically like, don't hurt my babies, don't kill me, I'm a mom kind of thing, take whatever you want kind of thing. This happened recently. But that's crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
But the footage is basically like, listen, take whatever you want. Like there's jewelry here. There's like, yeah, just stay away from my kids. Don't, so whatever. I mean, yeah, that's heart wrenching. Like I watched a video where these 3 guys, who was like breaking into a home, right? And the guy's kicking down the door, and they come in fast, right? But it took like 3 really good, solid, hard kicks to get in. Now I would wake up at this point, and like you think that in a state like New York, where because it's so densely populated, plus you're not allowed to have a gun, like how would you defend yourself? Because they got to be quick to get to you. You got to be quicker to get back.
Sure.
Right? And I was like, by my bed, like it was like, let's say I had a bat, or let's say even I had an axe, right? Like a mini battle axe, right? Like I know it's like, that's the only thing that I have. So if I hear and somebody's coming in, I got to be quicker than them. Like they break in the door, the first thing they're going to get is the axe. If I get killed after that, I was thinking they got to take somebody with me, man. I'll be at the pearly gates being like, hey, St. Peter.
That's right.
You're nicer than me. I keep 2 swords at the house.
Oh, okay.
There's
but I
there's
like
laws against guns, but the swords is
right.
fair game.
There aren't, like, yeah, there's up to a certain, like a knife can be the 4 fingers, but a sword doesn't have, if it's the full 8 inches, it's illegal. But I think it's six something. I don't know the exact number, but there's a certain number where it's fully like legal. Yeah, it's like a certain number.
I'm chopping you in half.
Yeah, like I was like, like there's enough things to strategically place. Like I'm chop, and if I get killed after that, like as long as I'm like St. Peter, do you know why he's here with me? So he broke into my house and I brought him here, so we could be here together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for showing up.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
Coño, man. Joe fuck.
Yeah. Scarface. You know what's funny about that movie? That's the Scarface accent, because when you do it, is that not once in that movie did Pacino speak Spanish, and he said like when they did the accent, there was some like Cuban advisors, and they were like, no, go with it, stay with it, and it's like so not Cuban. Like my buddy's married to a Cuban woman, and his like when her family comes over, he was joking around with me. He goes, they all came over, and not one of them sound like that. And I was like, well, you do know it's a movie, and it's supposed to be over the top.
Sure.
He was like, yeah, I mean, I had him all over, and I was asking him to do accents, And because they're talking to them, and he's like, not one of them sounded like that. Like all of a sudden, one kid's like, listen, Mikey, you got something over there, and I want it. And he's gonna be like, oh shit, Mike, yeah, one of them do that. One of them does sound like that.
I'm telling you, I could have come in 10 years ago. I'd have been a millionaire by this time. By this time, I'd have my own boat, my own car, my own golf course.
Listening
You know
to
what
some
I want?
Scarface.
Thought of this the other day. A line of blue jeans, right? With my name written on the back of chicks' asses.
Why would you do that?
That sounds completely crazy to me, man.
Look, you're missing on the sight. That's what you're doing. We're missing the action.
Oye.
Oh, yeah. There it is. One Spanish word.
With my family?
Get lost, greaseball.
What do you mean ice cream?
Ice cream?
All right.
You said ice cream?
Girl like ice cream.
Come on, man. That's not gonna work. You can't do it that way. I'm telling you. You know how you pick up.
How do you do it? You do this.
You go.
You gotta do this, papi. That's it.
My favorite scene in that movie was actually shot in Tudor City, close to Murray Hill, when they're supposed to detonate the bomb, and he said, "I told you, little kids, man. Do you think I'm a worm like you? You stupid fuck. Now look at you now. I love that scene, man. Do you think I'm a worm like you?"
But yeah, like it's, for him and Al Pacino and like.
And I love Pacino's work, by the way. Just FYI.
Well, you take those two, take away The Godfather and Scarface, right? And then there's what's the Dog Day Afternoon?
Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico.
You let's say you take a handful of movies out. Each movie after that has this one point in the movie, because he's an overactor, where he takes the character, throws it to the very top, which it's just like they gave him leeway to do it. And so you can see in the script that they have a circle and they're like, well, Pacino, this is your thing. You do whatever you want. The rest of the movie is scripted and he's acting. Then they give him the moment to free do it. He's freestyling it and you're like, that's awful. Don't let him do it. And then the next movie comes and he does it again. I think one of the best scenes, like in Heat, and
Great movie. Great movie.
What's the actor that does? He was there was this actor that was being interviewed on Graham Norton. Graham Norton is probably one of the best talk show hosts ever. He's on the BBC. Great. They all drink together. Like they really it's some of the best. I mean, I've hysterical laughing for hours drinking along with them. But he's interviewing Tom Hiddleston, and Hiddleston is there with De Niro. And he does the scene when Pacino and De Niro meet each other in Heat. And he goes, you're going to have to do what you got to do. And I'm going to have to do what I got to do. And hopefully, and he does this thing and he does the both characters. And it was like, and even like De Niro, doing that face thing, he was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And it was like, but he did both scenes so well. Like he brought in the De Niro and the Pacino, like that smokiness, like you've been smoking all day and then you got to talk to somebody but you're tired. That's Pacino. But every movie he does, he has an overacting moment. It's supposed to bring it. It's Scent of a Woman. If I was half the man I used to, just flamethrower. And when he was in the one where he played with Keanu Reeves as the
Devil's Advocate. Yeah.
When he goes, who are you? And then he does that whole walking monologue when he's in the office. I go by many names, and he's the devil and all that. Like those are those overacting moments that they give Pacino leeway, and I could see him writing there. And then you could see like the directors and the writers going like, oh shit. All right, everybody look away and just let him do his thing. And when he's done, we'll just take it in one take and just go. Because it's movie-like, but it's extreme movie-like.
Yeah.
Like I would wish that there was a movie that from beginning to end it was extreme Pacino. Like if somebody would take all his movies and edit it to have all the extreme
like
moments.
A reel of extreme
moments.
moments.
A reel of his extreme moments in movies. Like that would be like I would just probably so intense, like I was on coke or something like that. Like I was doing lines of coke and like this is Pacino and he's like, ooh I go by many names. You're like, holy shit. But yeah, like he's great and considered great, but he was just such an over actor in certain when he wasn't doing a great role, when it was just a good role or mediocre or whatever. He had the overacting element, and that's what people considered great, but it wasn't because it brought the plane character higher.
Well, look, I mean, the role of Tony Montana in Scarface really called for that overacting. I mean,
Yes. No. But I mean,
he had to do that.
He had to do that
Yeah.
because he also didn't speak Spanish.
Correct.
Like that's one of the things he said. Like he didn't speak Spanish, so they just said, "Yo, do that hardcore accent through all the way through."
Yeah.
You know, and if just because you use a word, like let's say, like it's a very Puerto Rican thing, and I make this joke about it, it's like "pero," right? B-E-R-O, pero. Do you know what it means? It means but. And Puerto Ricans insert that shit into everything that you talk about. New Yorkers. Like, I want to go to the store, pero my knee is no good, you know. I would go to the store, pero it's raining.
Right.
You know, like, it's a thing. It's like, if you could just use, that's the thing about, like, if you just use a Spanish word every now and then, you're Puerto Rican. If you're Cuban, it's like, well, what can you do more for that? Not even, like, New Yorican is different. New Yorican is... Puerto Ricans born in New York who speak Spanish with an English accent or English with a Spanish accent?
It's Spanglish. It's Spanglish.
Right, but I mean, we'll just call it the way I'm talking about.
You know more than me because I didn't grow up here. You did.
Yes, but there are other ones. Like in Chicago, you go to Chicago and you can hear the same kind of like somebody who's Puerto Rican that's born there,
Sure,
and have like a slightly Chicago accent
sure.
in there. But
I speak Spanglish. I can go into a bodega and order a mean breakfast sandwich in Spanglish, bro. Don't fuck with me, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the element that makes it. So for him, the whole thing was it's like he was Puerto Rican but using the Cuban accent all the way through.
Sure.
And that's how it worked.
Sure.
That's it. That's all it worked. That's it. That's all. There wasn't more to that.
No, that was good.
There was.
That was very good. I love telling.
Shall I take a bow?
I love retelling the story about Al Pacino, like this, like urban legend story about someone asked him one time, like, "You're Al Pacino. Don't you have a bodyguard?" And he said, "Fuck that. I'm from the South Bronx." And I just thought, oh, I like that. You know what I mean? Papi, cholo coño. You fuck.
Do you remember me? I'm Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Remember that?
No, what is that?
Carlitos Way.
Ooh, Carlitos Way is a great movie.
That movie, he played he's Puerto Rican.
Great
right
movie.
through.
Great
Just a little
movie.
accent.
Great movie.
Yeah, great movie. But no. Good movie. I wouldn't say great. Good movie. Good movie. It wasn't a great movie.
So I was asked on a podcast last week, what is my dream role to play? Can I share that with you, gents?
Yeah, sure.
And I would never want this movie to get remade. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But if I, wish list, I would love to play Chief Brody in Jaws. Roy Schneider does. What a rich role that is right there. It's one of my favorite movies. I think it's the greatest horror movie of all time that drove people away from beaches in the ocean, literally.
Right, like every time something touches you ever see that? Like there's always a meme, like when something touches you and you start running because you think, oh my God, that's the shark that's
Fuck
gonna.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, I get a casting notice for a sort of remake of Jaws, right? Where they're shooting and all that. And so I submit to it. And so the outlets flag certain stuff. So it's like Backstage will flag it. They flagged me and they were like, don't respond to it. Like nothing we found was credible about it. And it was this whole bio, each character, like they really wanted to remake.
Jaws.
Excuse me. Yeah, Jaws on lower cap. And I was like, oh my God, this would be great. I can do this. I was like, I could be any one of those characters. And it was like, but Brody was the,
Oh, bro, what a rich role. That role, I think, and also the role of Henry Hill, obviously, in Goodfellas, would be a great role.
Yeah, somebody asked me that, when it was the acting classes, and they were like, what would be the ultimate role that you would want to play?
Sure.
And
you said Hamlet?
I said Ham. I just like to play Ham.
Well, Hamlet is the dream role.
I just want to play a stuffed ham.
Of most stage actors. I don't know. I'm not talented enough to do Shakespeare, so.
I don't know that I would want to. Like, I think that's reserved for certain people.
I agree.
Everybody English should do Hamlet.
I agree.
Shakespeare should just be for the English.
I agree. English or the Irish or the Scottish. But the English, yes,
but
primarily.
The Scottish, when they're rolling your R's too much, like those hard R's.
Shut up.
Yeah, you say, you feel it, righteous, that I like. You're like, no, stop it. Just get him English. Light English, not heavy. No Conor McGregor, all that. Fuck you, Scott. Yeah, like where I just made him half Scottish. So he's
you
like
did.
half Scottish.
You just made
That's
him a
not my
little.
way.
It's MC, not MAC.
Who the fuck are you? No. So I don't know.
If
Like,
I risk my neck for you,
Yeah.
will I get to kill the English?
yeah, like that was it.
Excellent. Stephen's my name.
Hey, it's my Ireland.
You talking about Ireland?
Yeah.
Aye, it's mine.
mine.
You're a madman.
Yeah, I told you, it's my Ireland.
I see. I've come to the right company.
And that is from Braveheart. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I still don't know. I really, honestly, when I came into acting, I just wanted to play everything. I wanted to be funny, sad, cop, psychopath. I wanted to play and I auditioned for everything. I have video submission auditions for everything, and I look at them every once in a while.
Yep.
And I don't listen to it. I just watch what I was doing and that what like try to remember what made me want to do that.
Sure.
But I don't have any one thing that I want to do. I just want to do everything.
Did you say during this podcast that you recently auditioned for Law and Order Organized Crime?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, so dope. So I just auditioned last week, put myself on tape for, because they're doing all these spin-offs, so FBI International.
Yeah.
Auditioned for that for a guest star, and if I had booked it, I was gonna fly. They were gonna fly me to Budapest, Hungary. Go crazy, right? How crazy is that?
Ooh, nice.
I didn't get it.
Well, that's
that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to tell me that you didn't get it.
Yeah, right.
You're like, I'd love to do this, guys. I would really love to do this, but I have to do this show.
But so I reached out to you and told you that story
mic,
because I didn't want to, not be a man of my word,
yeah.
coming here and.
I'm gonna do the FBI, but I'm gonna do the Mike and Sean show. I'm sorry, guys, but FBI, Istanbul.
F you.
Yeah, you guys are not.
Shawnee Whispers and Mikey Choco.
That couldn't be.
About that, huh?
could-
How'd you like that?
That could be said just maybe a little bit wider, but it was close. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
it like-
Thanks, so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
The wider you say it is Choco, the unwider you say it is Choco.
Choco.
So yeah, so bring the New England out of it. Take that once you get rid of it.
Oh my God, Choco.
Choco. It's wicked.
Oh my God.
Is that some wicked Choco?
Who did you call? Nobody. I forgot the number. You staying out of the rain? You forgot the number? No, it was your mother's 900 number. I ran out of quarters. Why don't we get off mothers? I just get off yours. That was a little Goodwill Hunting for you right there. I'm here all week. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, it's so original, original content. Because when you're up from Massachusetts or in that area, like that Rhode Island all the way up there, and you were exposed to the mass holes and
That horrible accent.
that horrible accent, they're like, so you can do it better.
I will tell you this right now, and I can say this because I'm from Rhode Island. Rhode Island is the ugliest accent in the country. Ugliest. Okay, so let me.
I think there's got to be ugly. I think there's got to be ugly.
Let me say my name in Rhode Islandese.
Yeah.
So in New York, and I like to enunciate my letters, right? My vowels and my consonants. Mark Doherty. Okay. In Rhode Island, this makes me like throw up a little bit in my mouth when I say this. Mark Doherty. Mark Doherty.
That is it's so nauseating.
Oh my, that is the worst.
That is
accent.
the unsexy name of the Mark Doherty sexy name.
Mark Doherty. Mark Doherty.
You have that look. You should have like a more of an Italian last name.
Well, it's funny that you say that.
Did you laugh?
I get that sometimes. Sometimes people look at me and say Italian. Sometimes people look at me and say Black Irish.
No, I wasn't gonna say that.
I got the freckles. Do you know what I mean? I got some of that soft going
Just leave
on.
that alone. No, just no.
But most people look at me. They see the big nose. They see the big Romanian nose, and they think Italiano.
Oh.
He's Italian.
I get Irish or Russian.
Well, look at your fucking red skin. You look like a potato head. You look like a fucking whiskey face.
Like a potato head.
A whiskey face, a potato head, like that Irish look.
I should be a Doherty. You should be a Durso.
Yes. Yeah. You should have like a Kennedy accent.
We'll
a Kennedy accent.
We'll switch last names.
I want them to hear the truth, or at least our version of it.
Right. We'll switch our last names for the rest of our careers, and we'll see what roles we get.
That would be great. I actually, what I've always wanted to do. I should have done
that's
this.
Mark Jerso. It's fantastic. I love that he's here.
When I first
Michael Doherty.
When I first joined SAG, they asked me if I wanted to do a stage name,
Right.
and I thought to myself, I'd love to have two first names because I think people that have two first names are very successful.
Yeah.
And so I was going to go with Mark Joseph because that's my middle name. And then I thought, well, a lot of my family members misunderstand my journey. They think it's all about Mark, but it's actually about Doherty. I want to put my family's name in lights, not only me. And so I thought to myself, like, it's got to be Mark Doherty. But I think that I would have had a more successful career if I was Mark Joseph. Like Paul Todd. Think about that, like Paul Todd.
Like it's like they said, who is this guy? And my last name, they were like, it's Mickey Quinn.
Mickey Quinn.
See?
There you go.
That's my wife's last name.
Well, you could have gone with your wife's last name. Did you take your wife's last name? That's kind of like your kind of thing.
Yeah, I have it tattooed right. No, turns out I didn't. Wife didn't even take my last name, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, that happens sometimes. You guys could hyphenate each other's name.
Yeah, I hyphenate.
I'm saying you could be Durso Quinn and she could be Quinn Durso.
Oh, no. When I hyphenate all the things, I like, fuck you. No.
So
right.
Please tell us, has this been an entertaining 2 hours?
Yeah, it's under 2 hours. It just feels like it's 2 hours.
Kind sir. It's been an hour and 50 minutes. Not bad, right?
Well,
no awkward moments of silence. I had to carry the team. And I'm here.
The new leader of the squad.
Shawnee, you were missed, Shawnee whispers.
Yeah. Well, slightly missed. Nobody was yelled at. Nobody was talked over.
Well, actually, that's right. Mike and I actually got to talk, Sean. We actually got to be heard.
Do you know how many people say, like, just yell back, And I'm like, it's useless. Anyway, no.
Call up and scream at him.
Yeah,
Sean.
call up to scream, Sean. Anyway, let's just end it now. In the massacre before he calls up. And then we're on here for another 25 minutes as he, Anyway, feel better, Sean.
Shawnee.
This is the Mike and Sean Show with our co-host, Mark Doherty, who's going to be back again and again and again and again, for sure. And even if he doesn't want to, we'll just book him, and then he'll feel obligated to do it.
Yee, doggy.
Yeah. So just to let you know that if you're looking for something for one of your friends or for yourself, you like men's jewelry, you could check out over here, this little cracked ring right there, little skull bracelet that we have over here. Go to Undaunted Jewelry, undaunted.com, and you check it out. They have rings, bracelets, necklaces, chains, watches. Go to undaunted.com, and if you find anything you like, put in the Mike and Sean Show 2.0. Get 20% off coupon. Why is that a mouthful? I have no idea. I don't know. Undaunted.com, Mike and Sean Show 2.0, 20% off. All right? That's from the Mike and Sean Show. We love you all day, every day. Peace.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.